Well, let's get morning. Let's get going. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our 15th webinar in this series. Where has the time gone? Exploring how tax technology can help you. This is going to be our last webinar for a couple of months as we take a bit of a summer break. Well earned, almost out. But don't worry, we'll be back in September with our usual array of technology firms and new releases to the tax technology market. The usual housekeeping points for those that have joined these sessions before. We will be recording today's session. Opportunity for questions, please use the Q&A facility at the bottom of the chat. And as always, there'll be a follow-up session from today's topic for those that would like a deeper dive, and invites will follow at the end of the week. And as always, this will be a 30-minute event. So onto our main event. I'm Ian Bowden, tax partner and head of BDO's Tax Automation and Innovation Group. Our series explores the art of the possible from a technology perspective. All of our previous events are now on our website and via our YouTube channel. Who knew that I would become a YouTuber? Be sure to like and subscribe. Today's session continues to be incredibly topical. It forms part of the series that we've looked at for some time in terms of both year-end and the new Pillar 2 requirements. The two's here, MTD's around the corner for any UK customers. And we are seeing those regulatory changes helping businesses to create a business case. And of course, considering how these things can be worked together. Delighted to be joined by Patrick and Hussein from Walters Clough Tagetik today. I'm really excited to hear about their new tax provision solution and hearing a little bit more about how tax in Tagetik works. So both of you, thank you very much for joining. Really appreciate it. Just before I hand over to the Tagetik team, as always, we do like to provide a little bit of a market insight into what we're seeing out there, just to give this some context. And I know we've touched on the topic in a few of our previous sessions, but we are seeing groups not just looking at point solutions, but taking this as an opportunity to try and secure budgets for broader change. And what it's meant for us is that we have seen a lot less duct tape solutions out there, the point solutions, and a lot more people giving it a bit more thought into what's the strategically right thing to do. We aren't seeing many groups trying to tackle the Herculean task of building their own Pillar 2 calculators, and for good reason. Who wants to do that administration job? But there are quite a few options out there, and the challenge has been, where do you want to start? To give that some context, we try to categorize the Pillar 2 solutions into three main groups. There's those that are part of consolidation systems, like our guests today, and excited to hear what they have to say. There's those that are part of existing provision and compliance systems where they've added the Pillar 2 modules on. And then there's a new category, which is some new entrants and some global solutions, and they are quite interesting as well. Where you already have your data in a solution, that can be incredibly powerful, and it is absolutely worth exploring what those types of vendors can do for tax. I think the world we're in at the moment is going to be more and more around data challenges, and having access to a data repository is going to be hugely valuable. Finding solutions that can work with your systems, get access to your data, and then do more than just a single calculator is certainly a really good step forward. And I just wanted to finish with a couple of points of clarification. I'm getting this question quite a lot at the moment, but Pillar 2 is requiring a qualifying CBCR for some of the safe harbor analysis. And to be qualifying, the CBCR needs to be compiled with data from the group consolidated statements or the individual entity accounts, assuming that they are on an acceptable financial standard defined by the Globe. The second bit is a little bit more MTD in nature in terms of how the data gets into that CBCR, and less is more in terms of human hands touching it. And all of that is before we even get into the calculators themselves. So most groups have started down the journey for their data readiness, and that's been great to see. It puts you in a much stronger position for interims and looking to reduce the burden that that's going to cause. But there is a point about muscle memory and the frequency by which people are thinking about Pillar 2. And rather than it being a once a year exercise, people are looking at it on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis as a minimum, because it's also then helping with the change management aspects. The last point that is coming up a lot as well is training of the local teams. So increasing the frequency and getting them involved in the data readiness has helped with them understanding the definition of the data. So all of that can be quite a headache, but that's all before we get to the calculator. So without further ado, let's see what some of these calculators can look like. So delighted to introduce Patrick and Hussein, who's going to talk to us a little bit about Tagetik and what it's able to offer. Patrick, I think you're kicking us off.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much, Ian, and good morning, everybody. So my name is Patrick Nicholas. As Ian says, I'm the sales director here for Tagetik UK and Ireland. I'm really just going to run you through a little bit about the background of us as a business, and then I'll the actual platform itself, kind of where we come from. As Ian says, there's a number of different, I guess, directions that software providers are coming from here. Then I'll hand over to Hussein, who's really going to be doing the majority of the work describing the solution in more detail, and we'll run through a brief demonstration as well. So for those of you that were on the previous webinar, you would have had received a Wolters Kluwer overview, just by way of a recap, and for those that weren't on that call. So Wolters Kluwer is one of the biggest providers of tax and accounting solutions in the world. Big company, 6 billion revenues, and we serve customers in more than 180 different countries across the globe. As a business, we're actually divided within 4 different divisions. So CCH Tagetik, which is the business unit that Hussein and I are sitting, are actually part of what's called Corporate Performance and ESG division. So CCH Tagetik you can kind of think of as being like a discrete business unit and a platform that sits within the wider group of Wolters Kluwer. So CCH Tagetik in and of itself, we're absolutely one of the leaders in our space around kind of tax and corporate performance management. Globally, we've got more than 2,000 customers, and I think the key thing for us, and one of our real differentiators in everything that we do really, is that we have one product that serves multiple different processes. So let me just very briefly run you through the platform, where we've come from, that heritage, and why we think it makes for a very good grounding and foundation for a lot of the challenges that our companies are faced today with tax reporting. So Tagetik was originally found as a corporate performance management tool, and really what that means, for those of you who aren't familiar with that term, it really just means that you're setting your goals through forecast plans and budgets, and then tracking whether or not you've hit those targets through managing the financial close. So traditionally that was financial consolidation, but that's really extended out to be the full kind of end-to-end close, all the way from entity close, balance sheet recs, through to things like XBRL submission right at the very end of it. Now, what we've really done there is to say, okay, well, we have one platform, one product that manages all of these disciplines. What we've done over the last few years is to build a series of regulatory applications on that very secure, mature platform. Now, one of the things I think that really kind of gives us an advantage in this space is that corporate tax and the financial close process specifically have a lot of synergies. Ian just mentioned on the intro there that we're seeing a lot of companies closing the global minimum tax numbers on a monthly and quarterly basis, which is obviously the same as what we do within a financial close. And for all of those challenges that we're seeing as part of global minimum tax, CBCR, and all the other topics we're going to cover off today, so much of that has already been covered with our platform. So although global minimum tax is a relatively new beast and it's evolving all the time, we believe that we've got a secure foundation that has things like data management built in, so the ability to load data really from any source. Hussein will show you how we can manage a workflow real time and get visibility, even where you've got lots of jurisdictions that need to contribute towards those numbers. We have a very mature calculation engine that's been used for very complex consolidations for years and years, all the way through to producing reports for internal consumption, external consumption, and XML and XBRL for your electronic filing. And so hopefully that gives you a decent overview of where Tagetik's coming from. And I think probably the final point here as well, as Ian's mentioned, that although we're seeing a lot of companies come to us just for tax reporting, a lot of our existing customers are seeing benefit from the fact that they have their financial consolidated numbers sitting within Tagetik already. And obviously those are the starting point for your global minimum tax calculation. So the fact that you've got all of your actuals sitting in the same place as your global minimum tax calculations and your globe calculations offers some significant benefit around efficiencies and having a single source of the truth. a quick whistle-stop tour of Tagetik there, but hopefully that's given you a decent overview of where we're coming from and where we see some of our strengths in this market. With that, I'll hand over to Hussein, who's going to walk you through the details of our global minimum tax and tax provisioning solution in more detail and run you through a demo. Hussein, over to you.
Thanks, Patrick. Hi, everyone. I'll be sharing my screen and I'll be showing you the global minimum tax solution that we have to cover Pillar 2 calculations as well as country-by-country reporting. Share my screen.
Yeah, we've got you, Hussein. That works.
So, great. This is the homepage that we have for a global minimum tax solution. Now, the product that we are would like to demonstrate to you the product which intends to fulfill all the OECD requirements is called Global Minimum Tax Solution. This Global Minimum Tax Solution is a prepackaged out-of-box solution that covers all the OECD requirements for calculations of Pillar 2 data points, as well as all the templates within the OECD, with all the templates for the country-by-country reporting. Therefore, a group tax manager or a group tax user that accesses the system will have a basic home page where every each of these tiles will give an access to different part of the solution, country-by-country reporting, global minimum tax, and the possibility to run a what-if analysis, so the projections of the future payments, and make a simulation on the inside this solution. Because these two processes are linked together, country-by-country reporting, as Ian mentioned, the data points that we are using in the template 1 of the CBCR is intended to use further in the safe harbor. Having those two databases together allows the system to speak to each other. Basically, it's possible to retrieve automatically those data points from CBCR to Pillar 2 and use them for our safe harbor calculations. So today I will be showing you the safe harbor approach, the approach that we have for the approach to basically steps that are coming out of the box, the calculations that are provided for a group tax manager, and all the requirements and how we basically fulfill the requirements of the OECD calculations. You can see here we have a workflow. The workflow consists of the several steps, these tabs that each of these part is meant to fulfill basically the calculation needs of the Pillar 2. The steps are there to guide a group tax manager or a person who has the information about organizational data, about organizational structure of the company that needs to make a calculation and submit the top-up taxes. The initialization is the part where basically we start our Pillar 2 journey. Here, system provides the possibility to automatically upload all the information from external resources. The information at this stage will be generic company information, so number of jurisdictions, number of constituent entities, all the details, all the necessary configurations that you need to make to define and prepare your system for the calculation are done at this step. You can see here on the left-hand side, we provide a hierarchy. This hierarchy allows activities, so it gives the possibility to run tasks at various levels. But because this is a one-off activity, because we start to the work at the highest level, all the tasks should be run at the highest level, and we basically provide the overview of the information that has been uploaded to the system via this standard report. So then, once the group tax manager uploads the information, deploys, these 3 out-of-box reports provides a view of the information that has been uploaded. So in this case, it will show you your jurisdictions, your entities, the ownership, organizational data, so all the information that has been retrieved from consolidation, the calculation, embedded calculation in the solution, such as path discovery, will use all your information that you have uploaded to the system and will generate an automatic a report that will show you income inclusion rules. So it will demonstrate you and allocate all the IER attributes on your behalf with respect to all the information that you have uploaded. So in this case, in the case of our demo session, we have a list of our jurisdictions, a list of constituent entities. They are mapped to jurisdictions where we have businesses, and based on ownership percentages that we provided to the system, Tagetik and Global Minimum Tax Solution allocates the IER attributes by basically defining who's the ultimate parent entity of our system. The report that we're seeing right now is as an Excel-based report. It can easily be downloaded to your local computer, and it can be accessed also via Excel, where you have an Excel.net file that allows you to access all these standard out-of-box reports via adding on your Excel. So the final part of the initialization is where we provide the information, we deploy, we check our entity information, our jurisdictions and ownership, and the system will allocate the group, allocate basically the IER attributes within our organization. Last two reports are also standard reports. These are the configuration reports that allows the user to see what are the rules embedded in this solution. So based on which rules system runs the calculation and the allocation of those rules for the globe, for the safe harbor. We will be seeing slightly more in details in next steps. But the initialization is where basically you define your system and you provide the IER attributes. As we know, there is a localization need. The certain jurisdictions that has a deviation from the OECD requirements will need to be run a QDMTT. We now have a roadmap for the certain jurisdictions that are going to be covered within our prepackaged solution. This prepackaged solution is developed by the product team of CCH Tagetik, and the product team updates. So there is a quarterly update of this prepackaged solution that allows us to capture all the changes with respect to data points in the OECD market, as well as provide the out-of-box approach for calculating certain jurisdictions and have them as the part of your solution. So we have now a commitment to have UK as the part of our QDMTT. This means that once the package is deployed, a user will have an access to all the rules and data points that are needed to calculate UK. We have now expectation to be Ireland as a next jurisdiction, and the number of jurisdictions are expected to increase. I think upon request post-session, I can provide more details on how we approach this localization. However, regardless of what comes out of the box or not coming out of the box, we using this localization part, it is possible to configure via simple Excel logic, configure the logic for any QDMTT. So for example, we are in UK and we run a rule management report. This rule management report is a standard report which will list all the rules and all the data points for any given jurisdiction that we define in our system. Currently, we are seeing UK. I can see list of my rules used for, in this case, global minimum tax. I can see the allocation, so I can see the usage of those rules for globe, transitional safe harbor, adjusted covered tax. So basically, list of my rules, where do I use them, and which reports have them. You can also see corresponding OECD article that refers basically regulation reference to these rules. The rules that you see right now, you will get in a solution, so they're coming out of box. But if you want to check what are the OECD requirements, what is the exact article, we also provide all the information regarding this. In the QDMTT part, that's where we are currently in the system. You can see that the color of the system changes. This means that we can do a data entry. If needed, if you need to define your jurisdiction logic, you can come to this part of this tab, particular QDMTT part, will list you all the logic of calculation, certain rules. Right now, we are seeing, for example, excluded dividends for the UK. This is just to give you an understanding of how easy it is to configure basically the liquidity entity logic here. I can see the rules, data points contributing to calculation of excluded dividends. I'm in UK and I want to understand how does the excluded dividends are calculated for one jurisdiction, in this case, United Kingdom. I can see my data points, the list of data points via this, plus you can add or amend existing list. And in the output part, you can see the formula field, which basically sums up the logic behind calculating each of the rule. Right now, if I want to understand how does my excluded dividend looks like for UK, I can see the formula field, which is composed of simple arithmetics, Excel-based logic, negative value of the codes, IO1, IO2, IO4. These are all my codes that I mapped to the rules. All the mappings, the rules that you are seeing here, the data points, I will be showing also a data catalog, which is an extremely useful thing for group tax managers. All of these rules and data points are coming within the solution. So OECD requirements and OECD logics, the data points will be already embedded in solution. In an output part, you can understand and review the calculation logic for certain jurisdictions following the path that I'm showing here. So if we go back, we can, at this stage, what we have done, we basically defined the localization for one jurisdiction only in this case. And then we move forward to understand which of the jurisdictions passes or fails the transitional safe harbor. Now, this activity is basically the calculation are part of a calculation logic for the safe harbor is a part of a prepackaged solution, and this should be run at the jurisdiction level. So, for example, if we pick up one of the jurisdictions that we have, Italy, because we have some data in our DEM environment, but obviously this can be run at the group level as well, and you can do all the mappings at various levels. The workflow will guide a group tax manager to perform transitional safe harbor. The very important and very useful part where we start basically our calculation is this data catalog. You will see the data catalog here in Globe Calculation as well. This data catalog has been developed by tax experts, by our partners, and this basically lists all the OECD requested data points for, in this case, for transitional safe harbor. So if you want to understand how should I look, which data points should I use to run my transitional safe harbor, by opening this data catalog, you can see list of data points for de minimis, list of data points for simplified ETR, substance-based income inclusion, and so on. Corresponding logics where needed, and again, a reference to the article number in the OECD. Using this data catalog, you can understand and have a vision of the logic which is going to be used, right? Which data points will be part of my calculation. 2 out-of-box solutions to upload the information with respect to your source accounts. So if you need to do the mapping, now we understand that global minimum tax solution and Pillar 2 calculation requires basically some homework, some preliminary data gap analysis to list all the source accounts from your GL, from your consolidation, and upload them to the system. Now, this process of uploading and mapping can be done in multiple ways within our solution. One of the ways is where you basically list all your source accounts and map them to Tagetik data points. Again, data points will be available to you via this catalog that comes within the solution. A second way is for all those that has consolidation with Tagetik, it is possible to automatically retrieve the information. So as long as you know where your data point sits, as long as you know which accounts you should be using, you can import them to our solution. And the remaining 50% of the data comes from the CBCR. Remember that at the beginning we have said that CBCR is a part of a solution, country by country reporting, and all the template 1 information that we carry in our country by country reporting can be automatically retrieved for jurisdictions. In this case, it's one of the jurisdictions of our organization and used for safe harbor. So here I can say a task, retrieve CBCR data. By clicking on it, system will retrieve all my data points for Italian jurisdiction in this case, plus the 50% of the consolidation data that I upload. It all can be checked in this standard mapping report, which will list all our source accounts, will show Tagetik data points, and will help us to do the reconciliation as well. You can see here a transitional safe harbor data check adjustment, data entry mode. So it means that I can adjust any information if needed. System lists basically right now my data point that I'm using for safe harbor. Some of the information comes from consolidation. System maps them accordingly. Console CBCR for all the remaining data points that I retrieved from my CBCR module, which is part of this solution. And I can see the amounts that I'm bringing to the system to run my calculation. All of the data points are grouped based on the 3 tests that I'm going to run. And I can see a rule data check, which allows me to make adjustments if needed. Here I have my data points. They're all at the entity level. This is the view for one jurisdiction only. I have all my entities of that jurisdiction, Tagetik data points, and amounts. If needed, you amend the value, and the total you make basically your adjustment, and the total value will be changed. This total value will be used for the calculation. If I click on the save, system will amend the final total value and use it for my safe harbor calculations.
I said conscious of time, and we're coming up to our
Okay.
30 minutes.
Yeah. All right. So the final result is where you basically system generates a password fail status and gives you the view of the jurisdiction status.
Okay, I think we're going to need to draw it there and see if I can get to one or two very quick questions. But
Okay.
thank you ever so much, Hussein, in terms of taking us through. I appreciate there's quite a lot to show, and it's difficult in 20 minutes to get through the provision and the Pillar 2 stuff. Hopefully people have got a sense. Hussein and the team are available for some one-on-ones, and we've got some deep dives following this, so please do look out for the invites. If there's any last minute questions, I can take 2 questions. I've got one that's come through. Please do get them into the Q&A section very, very quickly. I'll pick up the first one. Are you seeing current solutions that are knee-jerk standalone solutions? I think the answer to that is it's not quite MTD levels where we've got hundreds and hundreds of vendors springing up and doing the odd ones. The complexity of the calculation is meaning that that's not feasible. So the only types of people that are bringing solutions to market are those that are underpinned by tax logic and everything else. So I don't think it's the flood that there were. There are some very good solutions out there, and please do give us a shout if you want to run through them. Has anybody got any other final questions for Hussein and Patrick? I just had one on in the last 30 seconds on QDMTT. So what's the position in terms of Tagetik and the solution being able to offer a solution for the qualifying QDMTTs? Is that part and parcel of the package now?
QDMTTs, the qualified domestic top-up taxes, certain jurisdictions are expected to be covered by the solution. Right now, we have commitment for UK and Ireland. We're expecting those number of jurisdictions to be increased by the end of the year. So I can share some roadmaps with respect to those QDMTT logics.
Look, I appreciate we've run to our time. We do keep these to 30 minutes. Really do appreciate Hussein and Patrick joining us this morning. There's a lot to see. There's a lot to like about the Tagetik solution. So please do look out for our email if you want to see more. And thank you all very much for attending. Thank you to Tagetik for attending, and enjoy the sunshine, everybody. And we'll catch up in September at these, or join us for the deeper dives that will be happening in the next month or so. So thank you all very much this morning, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.